Good morning, folks. As you can see, Charlie Cat's paying me a visit right now. And I'd like to thank Andy Scott Bryan yesterday for the $4.99 super chat that came in after we'd ended the show. So, Andy Scott Bryan, if you're there, thank you very much. Now, before we move on, let's have a wee look to see who's in. Good morning, Melanie. Good morning, Maria. Jim. Desiree. Stephen Bankier. Oh, the legend that is Kevin's in. Good morning, Kevin. A true legend of Scottish broadcasting, by the way. Hi, June. Hi, Rosie. Hi, Jim. Jammy Dodger. Ange, and early this morning, eh? Good for you, lass. Morning, Scott. Morning, Christina. Morning, Graham. Carol. Morning, George. Last Braveheart. The Scotland Effect. Who else we got back here? Good morning, Linda. Morning, Anna. Good morning, Alexandra. Morning, the other Davy. Good morning, John. Mark. You stay safe out there on the road, Mark. Back down we go. Right, we're up over 100 mark. Good morning, William, Stuart, Harry, Doug, Akis, Gordon, Robert, Neil, James. Good morning, Sir Larry the Cat. How do? Right, Cindy Truck Davy out the truck, not home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire on the 4th of the 11th, 2025, where it is 13 degrees currently. It's overcast, rain in the forecast for today. Today's high will be 15 degrees. Fucking 15 degrees. Think of that, folks. Global warming is definitely a thing. This is the fucking 4th of November. Should be skidding all over the place out there by now. It should be fucking freezing. Wow. Morning, Reagan Elite. Just to let you know, young fella, I've got that thing sorted out for next Thursday. Right, anyway, to say it's overcast, rain in the forecast. Today's high is 15 degrees. Humidity is at 94%. Wind speed is 16 to 33 kilometres per hour or 10 to 20 miles per hour. Pollen count, Disney count. It's that time of year where it's not a problem. Okay, let's get this one done, and there's a bit to go on with in the papers today, and there's some nonsense, folks, so we're going to enjoy this one, I hope. Right, first up this morning, we've got the Hootsman. Let's see what the Hootsman's got for us this morning. Hey, where are we, Hootsman? So the anti-Scottish Scotsman has drivers' quick action hailed in derailment. Warning of days of travel chaos after suspected landslide. Or landslip. Now, suspected. Either there was one or there wasn't. Either that, somebody's come along with a tipper and dropped something on the tracks. So what is it, Scotsman? Did they hit a landslide or did they know? Nonsense. But that one, of course, is an important headline here in Scotland today, because it means that the West Coast Main Line is going to be shut for a few days. That's going to interrupt travel and commerce. There'll be a cost to the public purse. Right, next up, we've got the loony right-wing knuckle draggers rag, the Express. And what's that got this morning? Rail travel chaos after train derails. A lot of truth in that. As I've just said, the Avanti West Coast Main Line is going to be closed for a while till they clean the bloody mess up. Fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt in this particular incident. As we know, the last rail derailment here in Scotland killed 3. Okay, after the loony rag, the Express, we've got the Metro. What's the Metro got for us this morning? Terror at 80 mile an hour. There you go. And it says passengers tale of derailment drama, terror at 80 mile an hour. Well, I'm sorry, Metro, but I'm afraid you have to look up the word terror. Terror comes before impending danger. You have to know the danger's coming to be terrified of it. I'm afraid the people on these trains, on this particular train, had no inclination of what was about to happen, so they certainly weren't fucking terrified. But that's the nonsense we get in the press. That's the quality of it. Get rid of that crap and let's see what's up next. I think what's up next is the Rancid, and it has gangs fuel youth crime, murder bid by Scots kids. As you know, folks, we talked about the homicide rate yesterday at an all-time low. And out of that total of 45, only 9 of them were under 35, which was what we would call kids. Only 9. This is fucking nonsense. But I don't put their answer up, but what I will put up is what AI and, of course, the links that go with it, because I don't just look at AI's answer, I look at the links as well, because AI is only as good as the information that goes in. But if we look at AI's answers on whether Scots users are driving youth violence, well, let's have a wee look, shall we? Now, AI is getting its information from main findings Homicide Scotland 23-24, trends and drivers of homicide main findings Gov UK, and homicide in England and Wales, which is interesting. We'll get there in a wee minute. But are gangs fueling young murders, it should say, in Scotland? And the answers for gangs and organised crime groups are a contributing factor to murders in Scotland, but they are not the sole or primary driver of majority of homicides. The most common motives for homicide relate to intimate fights, quarrels, rage, or fury. Significant factors, not the majority. In 2023-2024, feuds or factional rivalry was the main motivation in only 19%. So less than a fifth of homicides were motivated and was known as in a separate study as being related to youth crime. So the truth is that the Daily Rancid is talking pish. Youth crime isn't fueling the homicide rate, and the homicide rate's no attributable to the youth crime. And I say, as we spoke yesterday, youth crime's at an all-time low. Now, when we look at youth violence in England compared to Scotland, and homicides compared to Scotland, then last year in England compared to Scotland's 45 homicides, it was 570. And if we take their population at being 11 times our population roughly, then it's a wee bit more than the 490 odds that it would have been if it was like for like per capita. A fair bit more actually, because they had 570 homicides as opposed to our 45. So it would appear that violent crime south of the border, although dropping, and to be fair, it's dropping right across these islands, it's still a wee bit higher than what it is in Scotland. But the headline in the Rancid about youth crime driving homicide, a lot of pish, a lot of nonsense. Gang rivalry only accounts for less than a fifth of homicides. So made up headline in the Daily Record. And anybody surprised? That made up headline came a day after the figures were released on record low homicides. Get the feeling they're trying to convince us that it is otherwise than what it is. No, I would say yes. Right, let's move on for the Rancid. Next up, we've got the Herald. What's the Herald go to say? This one's also interesting. It says 950 million needed to help Scots College cash crisis. Now, I was looking a bit into this, and what's driven this? Well, since 21-22, it's mainly been running costs. And a lot of that's been attributed to energy costs, believe it or not, folks. In the public sector, public institutions, energy prices have went up since 21-22 by 63%. These are public institutions, remember. They should have a special rate to save the public purse. But no, their energy prices went up by 63% since 2021-2022. Household energy costs since 2021-2022 have went up by between 41% in the warmer south of England, 42% in the Midlands of England, 43% in the north of England, 43.5% in the lowlands of Scotland, and 44% in the highlands of Scotland. So domestic energy prices have went up by less than half, whereas institutional energy prices went up by more than half. Don't get me wrong, energy prices here in Central Belt in Scotland have gone up by 43.5% since 2021-22 is a fucking outrage. But the idea that the governments and public bodies electricity costs shot up by 63% shows you that our energy providers have no fucking conscience. None. Public institutions should have an automatic rebate, an automatic discount to make things like hospitals and schools and public buildings cheaper to run. But that's not the case. Now, it's outrageous that my electricity bill is up by 43.5% since 2022. April, actually, 2022, in the commencement of the Ukraine war. But what you need to know, folks, is January 31st, 2021, when we left the European energy market, that's when they started the fucking gouging. They realised they could gouge much more when the Ukraine war hit. That's about it. And as David and I were talking about yesterday, this link to gas prices is a fucking nonsense as we're producing more and cheaper electricity via renewables. But this idea, 950 million, that's related costs, folks. That's what's been gouged for the college budget through the stupidity of Brexit and the gouging on energy prices. 63% increase in public institutions' energy costs. Fucking outrageous. Bad enough that my costs have went up by 43.5%. Wow. So there you go, folks. The Herald tells us we've got an almost £1 billion shortfall in the college's budget. Nice one. Lovely stuff. Right, now what's the Scottish Daily Fail got? Well, that's on scaremonger in the day. That's a cracker, this one, folks. You're going to love this one. Absolutely love this one. Oh, sorry, I need to give you the scum before I put the Scottish one up. The scum's got police facing questions. Train suspect knifed two before attack. Well, to be fair, it took the train attack for him to link this guy to the other attack. So, another nonsense fucking headline in the scum. Right, let's get on to the Daily Fail. What's the Daily Fail got for us today? This one's a fucking topper, folks. Love this one. Now, what does this say? Defence Secretary's extraordinary comments broadside over nationalist new blueprint to tear Scotland out of the Union. Tear Scotland out of? No. To secede from the Union, yes. Tear, no. If it was tear, there wouldn't be any democratic fucking choice in it. Anyway, SNP threat to UK security. What a load of tits. I guess little England's too wee, too poor and too stupid, too frightened to stand on its own 2 feet. Poor little England. Too wee, too poor, too stupid and too frightened to stand on its own 2 feet. Apart from the fact it's fucking skint and needs the money produced by, at this point in time, specifically Scotland and Northern Ireland. As we looked at the charts the other day, showing us that growth in what used to be the driver of investment in the UK economy, London, is going fucking backwards with a shrinkage in growth by 1.1% and a loss to the city of £1 trillion. Marvellous. But SNP threat to UK security. I guess England's just feeling a wee bit too wee, too poor, too stupid, and too frightened to stand on that international stage by itself. And I'm no surprised, because when little England is cut adrift, there's an awful lot of states through there that have been pissed off by Westminster. Anyway, that's what that should say. Defence Secretary shite scared because little England can't stand on its own 2 feet. George, you're away to Australia for 6 months. Finally retired. Enjoy yourself, my friend. Enjoy yourself. Right, that's enough of the shite for the Daily Fail. But unreal, man. The Daily Fail. Little England's too wee, too poor, too stupid and too frightened to stand on its own 2 feet. They're the fucking truth of it. Right, after that we've got the Times. Let's see what nonsense the Times got for us today. Police failed to catch real suspect a day earlier. Well, they hadn't linked the fucking 2 incidents together at that point in time. It was only after the train incident they started to realise it was the same guy that they had been looking for the day before. So once again, a nonsense fucking headline. Always looking for somebody to blame those doing that road, didn't they? They can't just take it in the chin and say, it's your fault. Take Brexit, for example. They blamed the situation created by Brexit on the Europeans playing hardball. The Europeans didn't choose to leave fucking Europe. That was yous. Yeah. Right then. Next up, we have... Well, certainly not that one anyway. We better drop that one down to size. Next up, we should have the National. So let's go find it. Here we go, the National. Number 10. That should say number 10, by the way, folks. Number 10, train stabbing email leaked to the National. And we talk about risks to national insurance, national security. Talk about Scotland leaving being a risk to Little England's national security. Try the fucking government being a risk. Because according to this, number 10, train stabbings email leaked to National. Well, it would appear it was linked to more than the National. But number 10 is leaking. Leaking like a sieve. And huge threat to national security for England. No bother to us, we've no fucking enemies. So that's the National. What have we got next? Oh, next we've got Tory Graph. What's the Tory Graph got for us this morning? BBC Trump bias exposed in memo leak. Now, apparently the BBC edited its coverage of the Washington riots when Trump lost the last time to say that Trump encouraged the riots. The BBC didn't edit fuck all. Trump did encourage the riots. End of story. So I don't know what this right-wing rag's on about. The BBC didn't have to edit anything to make it look as if Trump had encouraged the riots. He fucking did. And it would appear the Telegraph forgets that we were all around to fucking watch it happen. Jesus. Right, time to get rid of that. Next up, we'll get the Guardian. What nonsense is the fucking Guardian got for us this morning? Well, let's back on the budget. Reeves pays way for tax rises budget with tough choice talk. Oh dear. I also seen it reported in another publication, which we're not putting up, that Reeves is to put on heavy tax rises to avoid austerity. Well, you know, that's a lot of bollocks, folks, because according to official figures, she's got a £22 billion black hole to fill. So huge tax rises just to stand still. Now, how did we get to that 22 billion black hole? Well, actually, we can blame George Osborne and the Office for Budget Responsibility. The Office for Budget Responsibility have been over-forecasting the UK economy and UK growth since it came into being. And of course, as we know, recently it's had to readjust the figures that it put out for the 10-year period from when we left the EU, or the EU vote 2016 till 2030, where the OBR had predicted 2.5% growth, which meant that successive chancellors have thought they had more money and more wriggle room in the budget than what they had. So they overspent, leading to a 22 billion black hole today. Now that the OBR's got its fucking sums, maybe right, it's downgraded that forecast from 2.5% over that 10-year period to 0.9%. Way less than half of its original forecast. So the OBR, the Office for Budget Responsibility, is actually, in this case, the culprit for creating the £22 billion black hole by consistently over-forecasting the growth rate in our economy, and the UK as a whole's economy, sorry. As we know, different areas have got different economies. I put the chart up showing you how Scotland was doing, how Northern Ireland was doing, how the North East was doing, how the North West was doing, how the Midlands were doing, how the South West was doing, how the South East was doing. And of course, we know, now know that the drag factor on the UK economy is the City of London. We are 1.1% backwards step. So it's 2% down on growth, which has created a £1 trillion black hole in the City of London. Fucking brilliant stuff. Well done, OBR. Well done, George Osborne. Created a think tank, and we all know think tanks are shite at predictions. Okay. So that was The Guardian. After The Guardian, we have The Eye, I believe. So let's take The Guardian down. And we'll get The Eye up. What's The Eye got for us today? And it's on the budget and all, folks. These bids to win voters over on big tax hikes as make or break budget looms. Well, it's definitely going to be a break budget. We've been told there's a £22 billion black hole. We're not talking about a couple of pennies that we could find down the back of the sofa here. But I don't think this will kill the administration, this budget. I think what will kill the administration in Westminster will be the local elections next year. The election in Wales and the election in Scotland. I think that's what will kill after the Starmer regime. But that remains to be seen. Forecasting's pretty hard to get right. May as well be honest about it. And last but not least, folks, as we put the book down, is the Star. What's the Star got for us today? I think it's back on. The train stabbings this time. Instead of train derailment. And it's got train hero footy fan. I grabbed his knife and was asked, do you want to die? Now, at least you tried, mate. Yourself, the driver, the conductor. Quick thinking maybe saved a lot of people. So well done, young Stephen Crane, his name is. Nottingham Forest fan. And he was on the train and tried to tackle the knife man. Grabbed his knife, got his hand cut, and was said, let it go or else I'll fucking kill you. I guess he did the right thing by letting it go. Eh? So that's what's in the papers today, folks. Some real nonsense, especially in the Record, where it claimed that youth gang crime was driving the homicide rate. It's no. And as we know, right across these islands, violent crime is down. And that includes in England, and in Wales, and in Northern Ireland. I had a look at the stats right across the board. If you take England, for example, for its peak in 2022, violent crime or homicides down by 3%. No bad in a couple of years. And it's getting better. Their amnesty on knife crimes, they're following the Glasgow effect. When the Scottish Government introduced the serious crimes and violence unit, and then changed violent crime for health issues as a crime issue and tackled it from a different angle. Well, they're doing the same in England right now. They've just had a 12-month knife amnesty where 60,000 blades were handed in. That's a start. With a population of 58.6 million people doing that road. 60,000 knives out of circulation is no lot, but it's a start. And apparently, there's 156 of you watching. We need another 60 hit 100 likes, folks. So if you've not hit the like button, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. And as you know, the algorithm helps get the show out there. And that gathers more viewers. And more viewers means more revenue for the baby banks and the food banks. And anybody that's made a contribution today, thank you very much. And I'll get back to getting out the door. As you seen yesterday, I took a call in the middle of the Two Davies, but unfortunately didn't get back to me when I asked her to phone me back in 15 minutes. I tried phoning last night. I'll get back on the phone this morning. Okay, right, that's it for now. Got things to be getting on with. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it informative. Now, when it comes to homicide figures and things like that, folks, you can research these headlines yourself and find out their bollocks. It's no hard. Search engine's your friend. I always look at my search engine like a library. And the search engine's a librarian. I asked the search engine the way I used to as a kid, asked the librarian where I would find the information I was looking for. And the search engine, like the librarian, tells me what aisle, what section of the book, and which section of the aisle it will be on, and roughly which shelf I would find the information I was looking for. Well, it's just like that with your search engine. You guys look after yourselves. I'm back tomorrow, although I did think about cancelling it because tomorrow's an important day for me. But I will be back tomorrow with David in the morning. And then after that, I'm going to go get pashed. Absolutely pashed. You guys look after yourself. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.